Hi, I'm Brenda Quintana coming to you from the Beehive. Today I'm going to share with you one of the cards I'm swapping during the Stampin' Up! Leadership Convention. The cool thing about this card is that it has these peek-through holes on both sides that go all the way to the back. Here, I'll show you with this yellow piece of cardstock a little better. So you can see how these holes go all the way through to the back. Isn't that cool? But you can still write on the inside of the card because when you open it up, there's another label for you to write something on the inside. Isn't that cool? So the main things you're going to need to make this card are the Painted Petals Stamp Set, and you're going to need the Labels Collection Framelits. And to start off with, we're going to make a card base. So you're going to need a piece of cardstock. This is crumb cake, and you're going to cut it to 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches, and then you're going to score it in the middle at the 4.25 inch mark. And then you're going to go ahead and you're going to take your bone folder, you're going to close it up, and you're going to burnish that fold so that it lays flat. Okay? Then you're going to take your big shot. Let's bring this baby in here. And you're going to need, I like to use the magnetic platform, and put your card base on there. And we're going to need the Labels Collection Framelits, and I'm going to be using the 3rd largest framelit. And we're just going to pop that on right here. And you just want to center this, center it top to bottom and side to side. And when you have it exactly centered, then go ahead and put the second cutting plate on and go ahead and run it through. Okay. So now you've got a piece with a big hole in it, and you've got these 2 extra pieces. We're going to be using all of this, so just set it aside. And then we're going to be using, we're going to need 2 pieces of soft sky, and we're going to need 2 pieces of Whisper White. And I'm going to cut these both at the same time. So remember, you have 2 pieces of the white and 2 pieces of the soft sky. And I'm going to be taking again my 3rd largest framelit, and I'm going to cut the soft sky piece with that. And I'm going to take my 4th largest framelit, and I'm going to cut my 2 Whisper White pieces with that one. So we can do this all at once. So go ahead and run that through. Okay, so we've got 2 pieces of the Whisper White, and you've got 2 pieces of the soft sky. All right, we can set this aside for the moment. And next we're going to stamp our pieces. So bring back your card base, and we're going to take the flower from the Painted Petals Stamp Set. This one right here, it's a grouping of flowers. And I'm going to take that and my crumb cake ink pad, and I'm just going to ink this little guy up here, and we're just going to stamp it right on the corner here. This is just to give it a little bit of interest, and I'm just going to turn this so it's easier for me to stamp, and I'm going to stamp this one down at the bottom. So you're just doing a tone on tone thing, crumb cake on crumb cake, top and bottom. And then we're going to need one of our Whisper White pieces right here. And we're going to need our Wild Wasabi ink pad. And I'm going to ink this little guy up. And we're going to, I want to leave enough room for my flower heads, and I want it centered. So I'm going to line up the shortest stem with this little point over here on this side, and then I'm going to center it down at the bottom of this little hump right here. So when I've got that looking about right, I'm going to go ahead and stamp that. Okay. And then we're going to need our rose heads, which are right here, and the strawberry slush ink pad. And I'm just going to ink that up. And I'm going to, there's kind of two little spots on my roses that kind of have an indentation, and that's where I'm going to aim my stems to. So I'm just going to stamp that like that. Okay. And we can set that piece aside for a moment. And then I'm going to take my other Whisper White piece. This is going to be for the inside. And I'm going to stamp "You Are Amazingly Amazing." And I just want to center that right in the center of this piece here. Okay, now we can put away our strawberry slush. And then I need my little tag or label for the front. So this is my baked brown sugar ink pad. And I've got the thank you here. And I'm just going to stamp that right here. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit of something special to these roses right here. So I'm going to come back in. This is my Stampin' Scrub. This is how I clean my stamps. So I've got my Stampin' Mist right here, and on this side there's some little raindrops, and on this side is the sun. So I'm just going to spray a little bit of my Stampin' Scrub here. I'm going to bring my roses back, and I'm just going to clean off my roses on this side and dry them off on this side. Okay, and now we're going to use our Versamark. And what I want to do is I'm going to, since this is kind of see-through, I can kind of see where I'm stamping. Versamark is clear, and I'm just going to go ahead and line this up as close as possible to where I stamped before. Okay, and then I'm going to take my iridescent ice embossing powder, and I've dumped my embossing powder into this container because I use it a lot, and that way I just can spoon my embossing powder over top. So I'm just going to take a little bit of this iridescent ice embossing powder, and I'm going to tap it off, and I turn it around usually and give it a little flick. And I can set that aside, and this is my heat tool right here. And I'm going to just turn this on. It will be noisy for a little bit. Hopefully you'll be able to hear me. And I see right now I've just got a few little flecks that are stray. I'm just going to grab those before they melt into my paper. Okay, so now I'm going to just heat up my iridescent ice embossing powder. This will be really hard to see because it's a sparkly clear embossing powder. But if you see this card in person, these little roses right here have sparkle to them, and I just love that. Okay, I don't know if you'll be able to see that at all, but there's sparkle on these little roses, and that just makes them a little bit special. Okay, then we need to deal with this thank you right here, and I'm going to need my scallop oval punch. And I'm just going to center my thank you on the scallop oval, about like that. Okay, and then I'm going to take this is my 1/8 inch handheld punch. I'm just going to go ahead and punch a little hole on this side of the thank you. And I'm going to take a little piece of my Venetian, what is it called? Venetian crochet trim. And I'm just going to feed this through like this. And we're going to tie this. Okay, let me remember how I tie this best. Like this, and like this, and like this. Okay. And then one more thing we need to do before we do the assembly is I want this top piece, I want it to have some pierce marks around it. So I'm going to take my piercing mat, and this one is called the Festive Piercing Pack. And I'm just going to go ahead. This is the one that matches the Labels Collection Framelits. And I'm going to line up my piece with the lines on my template right here, okay? And I'm just going to put this down here. This is a foam mat and my piercing tool. And I'm just going to go ahead and start poking my mat all the way around. I'm going to hit all of the little holes going all the way around. But rather than have you watch me do that, I've already pierced one all the way around for us. But that's what you're going to do. You're just going to work your way all the way around, and there you go. And now we're going to need a little bit of Tombow to assemble all the pieces. So what I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to take my rose piece and I'm going to put some adhesive on the back of here. And I'm just going to center this on my front piece that I just pierced, like that. Shift it a little bit so it's centered. Okay. Then we're going to take, remember I cut a second soft sky piece, and I'm going to take my Greeting You're Amazingly Amazing, and I'm going to glue that one to the front of this piece. Like, shift it a little bit. Okay, that's good. And then let me bring these two pieces in the picture. We're going to need those too. So to glue everything together, I'm going to start off with my rose piece. And for my rose piece, I'm going to need just a little bit of adhesive right at the top of my tip and at the bottom of this tip here. You don't want too much because there's not a lot of cardstock coming on this edge. So now hold this up to the camera. There's a little bit up here and a little bit down there. And then I'm going to bring this piece in, and somehow there's a spot right here where it curves that the soft sky piece kind of curves right into, and if you're doing this card you'll be able to see it, and it just helps you line up the card. So you're just going to make sure that's nice and stuck and centered. See how that's stuck and centered? And then we're going to open up this piece, and we're going to take a little bit of adhesive again and put it right on the tip, and a little bit more on the tip right here. And then I'm going to put adhesive all the way along the back. I'm going to take one of these pieces that I cut to create the window of my card, and it's going to cover the back. So it kind of finishes off the back of the blue piece, and it's kind of cool. And it also helps give stability to the card, because now you've got your hole is actually pinned down on both ends, and it won't go wonky on you. So there you go. Make sure when you're gluing it that the back piece is lined up perfectly with the soft sky piece in front of it. Otherwise, you'll see an edge. So just make sure it's as close to possible as you can get it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to turn this right over to the back of the card, the very back of the card. And I'm going to put some adhesive right again just on this tip and on this tip right here. Okay, just want a little bit of adhesive right on this tip and this tip. And now you're going to come over and you're going to line this piece up with the piece that is in front of it, the crumb cake piece, and just make sure it's lined up. And you can also kind of look to the front again and make sure you've got it lined up. And once you do, just press down and make sure it's stuck and not going anywhere. Then we're going to open up the card, and again you just want a little bit right on the tip right here, right on the tip right there, and then I'm going to put more adhesive right here so we seal these two pieces together. And then my greeting is going to go right on the center there. Just making sure this is all lined up. And for this one, you can kind of peek to the back and see if you're lined up. Okay. Then all we need to do is we need to attach this little guy to the front. And to do that, I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive on both ends. So a little bit on this end and a little bit over here, not too much on this end, maybe even a little bit on the ribbon. Okay. And then this one's going to come in and I'm going to stick him down right about there. That. Make sure he's not crooked. And then I'm going to come in and here are my ribbon scissors. Just going to trim off the ends of this little piece. And there you go. A really cool card that's not too difficult to do. All the supplies you'll need to make this card will be available for purchase on my blog. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Bye for now.